All right. Too much errors. All right, so we're here live on Facebook. I was waiting for some other participants to come in. Also, I'm having a huge problem, but I'll work around it. It's not even for me. All right, so I'm going to be sharing once more the past paper to the screen. Extremely late, but we're going to jump into the action. For those who are just joining, I'm Miss Boyne. For those who have never joined and is just joining us for the first time, I'm Mrs. Boyne. For those of the students who would have joined all the classes so far, it's very good to have you once more. I'm going to be able to complete the 2020 ability test paper today. We're not going to be looking at anything else today other than the 2020 ability test paper. All right, so let me share it to the screen. We had stopped at number 22 there about last week. However, I'm going to continue from number 21. So hello again once more for joining me today. I'm Miss Boyne. We're looking at number 21. And the question says, examine the pattern below. How many rectangles would be in figure 5? I'm aware that from last week, the paper itself would have been a bit blurry because of the scan, because it's scanned. So I'm gonna see how best I can brighten these little boxes here. All right, so figure 1 has 1 box. Let me get the black in. Let me see some information in the chat. Is my screen clear? Let me see if I zoom in, it will be clear. If you're just joining, this is the 2020 ability test paper. Actual past paper. We have been looking at this paper from last week. We were able to look at questions 1 to 20, thereabout, and then we're continuing from number 21 to 40. So it says, examine the pattern below. Figure 1 has one square, or one rectangle, sorry. Figure 2 has 3 rectangles. Figure 3 has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 rectangles. Figure 4 has 4 and 3, 7 and 3, 10 rectangles. How many rectangles would be in figure 5? Let's try to see what the pattern is here. Let me look in the chat. Who is responding in the chat with some information, not with the answer? Again, Kashif, whatever your answer is, you do not have to repeat it 10 times. Please desist. I don't want to hear the answers. I'm not concerned with the answers. As yet, I'm more concerned with how you got your answers. The sheep is giving me some form of, and also Daniel Miller is giving me some form of explanation. So 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5, all right, fair enough. So in each diagram, figure 1 starts with 1 figure, and then it adds 2 figure for the second diagram. So that's figure 2 adding on 2 figure to figure, 2 rectangles to figure 1 to get 3 rectangles. Figure 3 adds 3 rectangles to figure 2 to get figure 3. And for figure 4, they're adding 4 rectangles to figure 3 to get what the image is in figure 4. And then for figure 5, obviously you're going to be adding on 5 because we're counting up to whatever would have been in figure 4, which is 10, which are 10 rectangles. Sorry, so that's the answer there. So it's 1, 3, then this is 3 and 3, 3 and 3, 6. And write it down there. So it's one rectangle. I'm gonna put 1 rec for now. I just know that this bottom row stands for rectangles 1 and then 3. Let's use a typing tool instead. 3. And then 6. And then 10. And then 15. So the answer is 15. All right. Very good, everyone. Let's move on to the next question. A picture is taken of a parking lot. I think I need to draw this one. So a picture is taken of a parking lot. The numbers in the parking spaces below, or sorry, in the parking spaces follow us a particular pattern. Use the picture below to answer items 22. All right, as I said. Let's experience this last week. When you write on screen, when you're bringing it down, it doesn't really move. to keep that in mind. All right. All right, so I'm recreating the parking lot here. So the first number in the parking lot is 2. Then there's a car blocking a number that we're not sure of right now. Then there is 11 and then there is 23. What I want to see coming in the chat is not the answer. I want to know how you got to your answer. So that's 2 and this is the car. And then there's 11. I'm gonna choose my color. And then there's 23. Sorry. And 47. It says which number belongs in the parking space where the car is parked. Let's try to figure this out. So first we have 2, and then after 2, there's a car, and then we have 11, and then we have 23, and we have, then following that, we have 47. Let's see how you got to your answer. I don't want to know the answer. I want to know how you got your answer. I'm only looking at responses that are able to tell me how the answer was found. So I'm looking in the chat for how the answers were found, not the answer. All right, so somebody was already giving me the response. Or somebody was giving me another explanation. Then Rika was giving me another explanation for the question above. Okay. So I was looking at it from that direction, where she was speaking about this person in the chat. Then Rika spoke about the bottom part or the base of the diagram being from 5, and then the second to last is 4, and then the third one is 3, and then the second one is 2, and then the first one is 1, and you add them all together. And I guess you get 15. Then let me try that. So you're looking at figure 1. Sorry, everyone, we're moving back to question 21. Somebody mentioned something in the chat, and I just wanted to clarify that. So the person mentioned about Denrika, I hope I'm pronouncing correctly, mentioned about the last row in the figure is the bottom column there. Let me see if I can take the annotation. Oh, it's going to take a lot to take out the annotation off the screen. And I still want it there. All right. So she spoke about the base part of the diagram being 5 first for the figure 5, or you could look at it from this direction. That's what I did. Figure 1 being 1, the base being 2, then the base being 3, the base being 4. So it actually is showing you how much is added on. I didn't quite look at it from that way. And then figure 5 would have 5 at the bottom. And then if you add all of those up, so 5 plus 4, 9, plus 1, 10, and then these other 5, 3 and 2 here becomes 5. So all of the base rectangles, the last rectangles in the diagrams, each of these diagrams actually gave you the answer. I didn't quite see that. Very good, Denika. Very good. Very, very good. All right, let's jump back to question 22. Let's jump back to question 22. Let's see if I can get it right there. Great. A picture is taken of a parking lot. The numbers in the parking spaces follow a particular pattern. Use the picture shown below to answer item 22. So the first number is 2. There's a car in that parking space covering a number that we don't know. There's 11, 23, and 47. All right, let's look at the answer here. So which number belongs in parking space where the car is parked? I would have done this question for last week for the persons who looked at this question last week. I think this is the last question that we ended on. Let's see some explanations coming here in the chat. Okay, that's where we left off. All right, let's look at the explanation. Jaden says they times it by 2 and add 1. Understood. But I want clear explanations in the chat, please. Try to type using sentences, sentence form, clear sentences, not fragments of sentences, but also paragraphs or short paragraphs, which are probably 2 or 3 sentences, because you're practicing for not only the mental ability test preparation, but for the performance task preparation. Yes. So that is also necessary for you to be able to determine what is the explanation that you're going to provide for getting all of these answers. All right. So first, what was done? Jaden said it was the times 2. I'm assuming he's saying by each number, 2 times 2 plus 1, 2 times 1. Okay, so that would have given me the answer where the space, where the car is, and then 11 times 2 plus 1. I'm assuming the person is leaving out the answer there for last. And then 23 times 2 plus 1. Oriana Edwards, she didn't finish there, but I kind of get what she was saying. They times it by 2, then add 1, Malika Brown. Or Malachi, sorry. Trishan Campbell says 5 because 2 times 5 equals 10 plus 1 equals 11. All right, so I think everybody's leaning towards that answer there, or that kind of explanation there, where the first number, and I think this is what I wanted in the chat, the first number, but nonetheless, still the correct answers. The first number is multiplied by 2, and then 1 is added to get the second number, which is covered by the car. So 2 times 2 plus 1 is 5. So the number that belongs in parking space 2, where the car is, it's 5. And then 5 times 2, 10 plus 1, 11. 11 times 2, 22 plus 1, 23. 23 multiplied by 2 plus 1 is 46. So the answer is 5. Let's see why the other answers could not be the correct answer. So the other answers could not be the correct answer. All right, clearly why 3 couldn't be the answer, because we don't have a plausible explanation why we'd get 3 there. 4 would not also be a plausible answer. What if we, how we'd have gotten 4 if we'd only doubled the 2, but if we double 4, we're only getting 8, which is not 11, so that would not be a pattern. We would get 3 if we add on 1 to the 2, would get 3, but then if we add on 1 to the 3, we wouldn't get 11, so that's not a pattern there that we can follow. Also with the 6, we'd add 4 to the 2 to get 6, or if we multiply 2 times 3, we get 6, but if we multiply 6 times 3, we don't get 11. Neither if we add 4 to 6, we don't get 11. So we can throw out all of those other answers and say 5 would be the answer. Remember, every time that you're doing your questions, you still want to rule out the other answers. You don't want to just say that, all right, then yes, I've gotten this as my answer, but you don't want to double check the answer. You have to double check the answer. All right. All right. Yes, I know that's what you said, Tris. Or that's basically the same thing. Everybody had the correct answer there. Everybody was on board. All right, let's look at a new question altogether. Number 23 says, examine the table below. There's a relationship between each number in row 1 and its corresponding number in row 2. Row 1, we have 3, 6, 4, 2, and 7. In row 2, we have 9, 18, 12, 4, and an unknown number. So we're supposed to complete that table. So based on the pattern, we have identified in the table which number correctly replaces the asterisk sign in row 2. All right, let's look at it. So we multiply. All right, there's no answers in the chat so far as to what is taking place. I do not want answers. I want explanations. All right, Kashif is on an explanation. I think Kashif is there with the explanation. Oriana is also here with an explanation. Kissy is also here with an explanation. Yes, Roshi, you would have gotten the answer correct. You'd have given the correct answer. However, I wanted the explanation first, all right? So everybody's correct with the 21 there. So we're multiplying the numbers in row 1 by 3. 3 times 3, 9, 6 times 3, 18, 4 times 3, 12, 2 times 3, 6, and 7 times 3, 21. Moving on swiftly to number 24. Which bar represents the information in the picture below? I wonder if as though I'm going to have to create these bars. It's a very blurry picture. And let's see how quickly I can create these bars. So this is number 5. This stops at number 5. You're seeing the numbers there. This one stops at number 2. So the moon stops at number 5. The smiley face there stops at 2. and the heart stops at 3. For B, the moon stops at 5. The heart also stops at 5, and the smiley face is also at 5. Even if you're not able to see where the or what numbers continue after a certain amount of number, it's still just going up by 1. All right, so for C, the heart is 2. And then the moon is 3 and the smiley face is 5. We just recreate these bars. And in D, the moon is 2. The smiley face is 3. And the heart is, let me see what the heart is. These bars are not drawn perfectly, but it does serves its purpose. Yes, the heart is up 2, 3, 5. All right.
Miss, I forgot one.
All right, let's go back up to the picture. This is the part I don't like when it's being dragged now to the question. All right, so how many smiley faces we're seeing there? We're seeing 2 smiley faces. Let's see which one has 2 smiley faces. Which bar has 2 smiley faces? So we're at bar A and C. We can rule out everything else, bar A and C. Bar graph A and C. 3 hearts and 5 moons. 3 hearts, 5 moons. I'm seeing some changes of responses in the chat. I don't even have to look, but I can see more chat coming in. And initially when I, took a little peep there in the chat, I saw some other answers than what I have here. So now I'm seeing the correct answers coming in, I'm assuming. So the correct answer is C, because we have 2 hearts. No, the correct answer is A. 3 hearts. Which one has 3 hearts? 3 hearts. 3 hearts and 4, 5 moons. 3 hearts, 5 moons. It's still A. Don't change the answers, guys. It's A. So 3 hearts here, 2 smiley faces. Hold on. What is happening here? This back and forth is confusing me. 2 smiley faces, 3 hearts, and 5 moons. The answer is A. Yes, that's what we're on. Not C. Yes, I'm aware, Zenny. Not C, it's A. So we're looking for 3 smiley faces. Let's count them. Let's go back there and count them. This annotation tool is giving me such a hard time. Let me take out this annotation. Clear all. Yes. All right, with all of those drawings being cleared, I can clearly look at the thing and just say no. 2 smiley faces, let's go. 1, 2 smiley faces, 3 hearts, 3 hearts, and then 5 moons. That's A. So that's 2 smiley faces, 3 hearts, and 5 moons, 5 crescent moons. So the answer is A. Yes, everybody's back on A. 5 moons. Yes, I said 5 moons. So it's A. All right, so it says number 24, the diagram below shows the model of the whole number. And if anyone knows the base 10 blocks, I have some, sorry, some copies of those base 10 blocks myself. So you'd have seen that sheet there, how many little cubes does it carry? And the long sheet there, how many little cubes does it carry? So let's see. So there's 5 little cubes, and then there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, which is like a thousand. It's 1,000, then 100, then 10th. So this is 1/10 of a whole number. So we have the whole here. If you have 10 of these 100 blocks, you will be at a whole number. So these are base 10 blocks, and we have 10 of these little small cubes, which one of these small cubes represents 1,000, and then 10 of them represents 100. And one of these little bar here, one of these bigger bars, sorry, the flat panel represents 1/10 of a whole. So 10 of these 10ths of a whole, 10 of these flat patterns would be a whole. I hope everybody is following. All right. So let's see, there's 100 little blocks here in this flat panel. So that's 100, 200, 300, 400, 500. And then we have 2 of these 10 blocks, so that's 20, and then that's 5. So we're looking for 525. 525. That's the answer. So again, it cannot be 5,025 because one of those little blocks does not represent 5,000. Or one of these little, one of these flat panels does not represent 1,000 of those little blocks, the little cubes. So that could not be 5,000 because there's 5 of those 100 blocks. And then if there's 5 of the 100 blocks, then that's 500. It cannot be 1,515 because we're not seeing anything that represents 1,000. So C is the answer. I want the explanation, everyone. Still want the explanations. All right. Let's move on to number 26. James, so the answer is 25. It could not be 255 because we're seeing more than 2 of those 100 blocks. As I said, one of these flat panels represents 100. If you count it, you'll see 100 of these little cubes there. This long strip represents 10 of these small blocks. So there's 5 single small cube or boxes, Then there's 2 10 sticks, which makes 20, that's 25, and 5 of these 100 bars, which represents 500. So the answer is 525. James' clue about his mystery number are given below. Use them to answer item 26. The first digit is less than the second one. The third digit is double the second one. And the third digit is 8. Let's look at the answer. What is James' 3-digit mystery number? So all of the answers end with 8. So we can rule that out. So the first digit is less than the second digit. Let's look at this second digits in these numbers and see if it is one more than the second digit. Because if the first digit is one less, then if we look at the second digit, we can see if it's one more, then it's also one less than the first digit. Or we could just look at the first digit and look at the second digit and see if that first digit is one less than the second digit. Let's try to do that. All right, so the second digit for A is 3, and the first digit is 2. Sorry. Give me a second, please. Great. For the remaining sessions, I'd want everyone to join with actual names. Even if you're not joining with your second, which is your last name, you should be joining with readable first name. All right. I'm going to ask the other students with other names that are not convenient or not appropriate to the session to please rename. I don't want to have to rename you or to put you in the waiting room, or rather get removed from the class. Okay. Yes. Order has to happen in my classroom. I would have disabled the annotation. But say, for instance, I didn't want to disable the annotation and I wanted to say, Malachi, please write on the whiteboard, or please to make an annotation on the screen to demonstrate something. I don't need to tell you if you don't need to write on the board, do not write on the board. Like, that is just automatic though. I think it's automatic. But I think if it's not automatic, I need to do something about it, obviously. So hence what I'm doing here. All right. As I said, I should not need to disable the annotation for you not to write on the screen. Nobody's asking to write on the screen. Do not write on the screen. Clearly. You would have responded with the questions in the chat if I'm not yet looking at what you're saying or I'm not responding to you. Fair enough. I guess you want to be responded to, but do not mark on the board that doesn't get you any response. That's opposite of a response. The response you're going to be getting is not positive, obviously. All right, moving on. Looking at the other students who are literally clearly following the instructions or just trying to behave appropriate in some way. Is responding in the chat, and we're looking at that. With the explanations, it says, 3 is less than 4, and 4 is 2, or 4 times 2 is equals to 8, and it says the second digit is double the third, so B. I think you made a mistake there, Oriana, in the explanation, but I put insert because I understand what you said, so the answer is B. Trishan can correct if the answer is B too, but I want the explanations. Keda Lee, sorry, McLean, you're also correct, but I want the explanations. Then Mika, you're also correct. Malachi, you're also correct, but I want the explanation. Yes, oh, you made the correction. No, it's not Oriana, it's actually Zenique. Let me hear what she has to say. If the third digit is 8 and it is double the second double the second, the answer could be B or D, but I have to continue. It says the first digit is 1 less than the second, so that number will be 3. So it would be clear that the answer is 3, 4, 8. Well, she means double the second digit. So that's a correction. So let me read that. If the third digit is 8 and it is double the second digit, the answer could be B. It says the first digit is 1 less than the second digit, so that the number will be 3. So it would be, I understand what you're saying. It's okay. It says the first digit is less than 1. No, it says the first digit is 1 less than the second. All right, so the first digit is 1 less than the second digit. So let's look at the first digits there. 2 is 1 less than 3. 3 is 1 less than 4. We're ruling out that C and D. We're looking at A and B. We're looking at the third deciding factor. The third digit is double the second digit. 2 is not the, when you double 2, you do not get 3, but when you, the third digit, sorry, is double the second digit. So when you double 3, you do not get 8, but when you double 4, you get 8. So 3 is less than 4 by 1, and when you double 4, you get 8. The answer is 348. Which dot represents the fraction 1/5 on the number line?
Miss.
Which dot represents the fraction 1/5
Miss.
on the number line?
Miss. Excuse me.
Sorry, so let's see. How many parts is this line cut into? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if it's on the 1, then that's 1 out of the 5 parts, which is 1/5. So the answer is B, not A or C, because they're not really on a line. And if you're looking at D, D is 5 out of 5, so that would not be 1/5. So the answer is B. All right. I was admitting some other students. All right, let's look at number 28. M and N are whole numbers, and M times N is divisible by 2. Which statement about M is true when N is odd. M and N are whole numbers, and M multiplied by N is divisible by 2. Let's look at that part. So let's put in two whole numbers there so we can say, sorry, 3 multiplied by 4, because both of those are whole numbers, is divisible by 2. So 3 multiplied by 4 equals 12. And we can say 12 divided by 2 is 6, equal to 6. Now, it says which statement about M is true when N is odd. So we can interchange to say that for multiply by 3 is just the same answer. So M is 4, N is 3. N is an odd number. So 4 is even. Let's try it with another example. Let's try it with 2 odd numbers and see what happens. 3 multiplied by 3 is 9. 9 divided by 2 is, or 9 is not divisible by 2. It does not, 9 divided by 2 does not give a whole number, it gives a decimal. So that number is not. So if N is odd, so we can clearly say if N is odd, if N is odd, then M cannot be odd, because if M is odd, it's not going to be divided completely by 2. Let's see what we're talking about here. So in order for N to be odd, M has to be even, or else it's not going to be divisible by 2. Let's try another example. So if we say 2 multiplied by another odd number, which is 5. So 2, which is an even number, is multiplied by an odd number 5, equals 10, which is divisible by 2, right? And then we could say, let's try again with 2 odd numbers. Let me get some space here. 5 multiplied by 5 is 15. Sorry, it's 25. 5 multiplied by 3 is 15. And try it with even 3. Let's try it with 3. Those are 2 odd numbers. It gives you 15, which is not divisible by 2. And we can multiply 5 multiplied by 5, which is 25, which is not divisible by 2. So in order for N to be odd, and the divisible by 2 conditions must be met, then M has to be even. Over that. So M and N are whole numbers 4 and 3. And when you multiply the two of those numbers, m and n equals 12, it must be divisible by 2, which is 12 divisible by 2 is 6. Which statement about m is true when n is odd? If n is going to be odd, then m has to be even, because if there are two odd numbers, n is odd and m is odd, then it will not be divisible by 2. So therefore, if you're trying again with 2 and 5, if you're seeing 2 and 5, m being 2 and being even and 5 being odd, when that is multiplied, we get 10, which is divisible by 2. And divisible by 2. All right, so the answer is A. M must be even, has to be. Let me see the answers here in the chat. They went from B to A, but there's no explanation. I wanted to see explanations like how my explanations was done. And you will see how the explanations come in necessary when you're actually preparing for the performance task examination. I hope it's not too late then to start practicing. It will be. But you need to be able to explain your answers. So I didn't see any answer for that question at all, not even one answer. I can't take any of those answers as valid if we're not seeing explanations or working out, because you could likely make a lucky guess, and I don't want to make lucky guesses. I want you to have constructed answers. That's all we have been talking about for these past 3 weeks. Explanations, constructed answers. You can take a picture of what is there on the screen. You can take a screenshot, but you need answers. So let me put an explanation here. To say that for n to be odd, m has to be even. Otherwise, the number or the quotient, because we know that we are, whatever our answer is the quotient. Or let's talk about the product here. So it's quotient for division, but it's product for multiplication. Otherwise, the product will not be divisible. Divisible by 2. See the example below. So that's my explanation. So for n to be odd, m has to be even. Otherwise, the product will not be divisible by 2. So in the example before, only when m was even and n was odd was the product divisible by 2. Whereas 12 is divisible by 2, 10 is divisible by 2, but not 9, neither was 5, neither was 25 divisible by 2, simply because we multiplied 2 odd numbers. When you're multiplying 2 odd numbers, the product of those odd numbers will be odd. In order to get an even product, you need to multiply an odd number by an even number. Okay, I think that's explained. All right, as I said, you can take a screenshot here or you can take a picture. I'm gonna leave it there for another minute or so. And as I was saying, this is very important because in the performance task examination, which I'm actually writing an article on that. Was it a wise move for the ministry to push back the ability test examination? Yes, it means more time to study for the ability test preparation. But what does it mean for the performance task? You'll have a shorter time to prepare for the performance task. I wonder if anybody looked at it that way. That's how I looked at it. And from experience, I know you need more time for the performance task, not necessarily for the ability test. So even if we would have had the ability test in about 18 more days, yes. But if you're able to get that examination, you would have been able to put that one past because you still have 2 other examinations to focus on, the performance task and the curriculum-based test. So in my hindsight, I would have thought that even though you're not quite ready yet, you wanted to still pass this examination and move past that one so you can prepare for the more challenging examination, which is the performance task, but you'll only have 1 month between the ability test to prepare for the performance task, examination, which fairly, I think it's not a quite good idea. And the ministry would have given us 2 months between before, but because they were being pressured, they yielded to the pressure and pushed back the ability test, but not necessarily pushing back the performance. So we're still going to have a shorter time to prepare for the performance task examination, which we haven't even started as yet. I wonder if next week's session really should just be into the performance task preparation, since we need more time to prepare for that examination. I started out by saying I hoped a lot of persons had joined the session on Saturday that I did with Dr. Linda Bailey. It would have gone more into problem solving, which is needed for the mathematics performance task examination. And I would have done non-fictional summary writing, pre-writing strategies for non-fictional summary writing, and the parts of the essay, which is vital for the language arts performance task. So that is something that was extremely informational. Some of my students were able to participate. Not everybody was able to participate. If you weren't able to participate, if you did not see the session at all, still not too late, head over to our YouTube page and check it out. It's a very, very informative session. Very, very informative. So we looked at using the Brain Camp app with virtual manipulatives. Yes. And then we looked at the pre-writing strategies. I'm just going to put the link here in the chat. Feel free to go on over at the end of the examination. All right. I'm going to be moving on to the next question. Sorry, I'm putting the link with the chat in. Sorry, I'm putting the link for the YouTube in the chat. Nick says I have to read it out loud. I'm not my usual perky self this evening. I'm somewhat a bit down. I'm not necessarily down, not necessarily, I'm fine. I had some difficulties though. It's not one of the best days, but I'm fine. Irrespective. It's good that my students can even pick up when I'm not as perky. I would say perky. I won't say I'm sad or unhappy. I'm just not as bubbly or bubbly on a lesser level. That's fine. People have moderations. It's okay to have moderations. Let's look into, all right, I'm dropping the link in the chat. So you can go on over there to the link or to the YouTube channel once you're finished with today's session. And as I said, promise to have 3 hours out of, yes, 3 hours. Just awesomeness. It was very good for Dr. Linda Bailey. She's not even an educator here in Jamaica. Well, she once was, but she's not. No, she is based in Staten Island in New York. And she just really knows how to do some math. And I was there doing my pre-writing strategies and just giving additional information. We wanted to have fun with learning and preparing for your examination, not just to feel flustered because there's an examination coming up, because after the examination, life does exist, right? It is good though to prepare and push forward for your examination, but not only just to prepare for the examination, but to prepare for lifelong learning. So you can be learning at every interval. All right. I'm moving on to question 8. I'm actually just trying to erase this annotation on my screen. Moving from question 28, sorry. Moving into question 29. 2 students, Leah and Carl, each had a piece of cord. 2 students, Leah and Carl, each had a piece of cord. Each of them used all their cord to form the shape below, shown below. Leah's shape is 4 by 8 centimeters, and Carl's shape is 4 by 2 centimeters. Which is true about the length of Leah's cord and Carl's cord? Is Leah's cord longer than Carl's cord? Is Carl's cord longer than Leah's cord? Is Leah's cord and Carl's cord the same length? Or is the length of, or both cords, not able to be determined based on the information given? So let's look at that. So we can try to check so it's talking about the length of the cord. When we talk about the length, we're referring to the perimeter. We're not looking at the area. The area covers the surface inside. We're looking at the length or the distance around these 2 shapes. So we can add another 4 to the side of the square and add another 4 to the top part of the square, and that completes the measurement. So 4 plus 4, 8 plus 4, 12 plus 4, 16. Carl's shape has another 8 to the bottom of that rectangle and another 2 to the side of that rectangle. 8 plus 8, 16, plus 2, 20, plus 2. Sorry, I'm adding all both 2's. So 16 plus 4 is 20. The 2 for one side and the other 2 for the other side. So let me put that in on my annotation so I could show you clearer what I'm speaking about. 4 cm to the top, top, and 4 cm to the side, 4 centimeters, 4 centimeters. In all, that is 4 plus 4, 8, 4 plus 4, 8, that's So the perimeter, P of layers, shape is 16 centimeters and the perimeter of Carl's shape, P of Carl's shape, SHAPE, you'd have done the same thing, equal A plus 2 plus 2 equals 20 centimeters. Again, you can screenshot or take a picture. So let's look at the chord that is longer. That's Carl's card. Look at the answer. Because Carl's card is longer than Leah's card. That's B. Very good. I'm seeing all B's in the chat. Still want the explanation or working out. Guys, you have to provide an explanation or working out. This is going to be required in the performance task examination. There's no answers on the performance task examination. They're just blank lines, and then you will have to write in working out and explanations. Please practice from now rather than trying to do it then. Moving on to number 30. Mary wants to determine the number of sweets in a jar. Sam gave her some clues. So let's look at Sam's clues. The numbers of sweets in the jar is less than 60, greater than 30, and a multiple of 3. So it's less than 60, greater than 30. We're looking for something in the 50s or in the 40s. 31 to 59. The number is 31 to 59, but it has to be a multiple of 3. So you can either write down all the numbers from 31 to 59 and then find which ones are multiple of 3, or you can look at the answers here. So based on Sam's clues about how many sweets could be in the jar, 27, 57, 59, 69, 69 out of it, 27 out of it, 57, 58. Sorry, 57, 59, which is a multiple of 3. 57 divided by 3. Let's see. 57 divided by 3 is how much? And 59 divided by 3 is how much? 57 divided by 3, that is 19. 59 divided by 3 is a decimal. 19 point something. So the answer is 57. Yes, the answer is B. I need explanations in the chat, guys. I'm not looking at the answers that could have been guessed. I'm joking. It's not guessed, but I'm saying in order for you to make sure that you know what your answers are, you need to provide constructed answers, which are working out or explanations as to how you got your answer. Walmart sells pencils for $20.25 each. Approximately how much would 1,500 pencils cost? Less than 15,000, more than 15,000, but less than 30,000, more than 30,000, but less than 45,000, more than 45,000, but less. All right, there's no less than. Less than 15,000, would it cost less than 15,000? I need working out students, I need working out. Let me set up my multiplication here. 1,500 multiplied by 20.25. Draw my line. There. 5 times 0 is 0. 5 times 0 is also 0. 5 times 5, 25. Put down my 5, bring up my 2 to the top. So writing that one. 5 times 5, 5 plus 2, 7. So what I'm here in my first, what I have here in my first row is 7. 5. So I'm putting my decimal places. Let me write my 2 here over the top to show that I write my 2 over. All right, that's fine here on the top. Next row, 2 times 0, 0. 2 times 0, 0. 2 times 5, 10, put my 0, bring my 1 over. 2 times 1, 2 plus 1, 3. That's my next row. All right. Next row, let me put my 1 there up at the top. Our next row, 0 times anything that's 0. So I'm gonna just put zeros for that row. I think I'm missing something there. I'm gonna put them on, which are my placeholders. For the last row, I missed my placeholder. So I need an additional 0 here. And for the second row, I did also miss my placeholder. So I need an additional 0 here too. Oh boy. This is not so nice. All right. Finally, for the last row, I'll make the organization shortly. 2 times 0, 0, 2 times 0, 0, 2 times 5, 10, put my 0, bring over my 1. 2 times 1, 2 plus 1, 3. These are not in the right orientation. All right, we won't do the annotation. I won't be able to do the annotation. Simply because everything is in such wrong order. This working out does not work so well here on this screen. All right. So the 7, it's not going to work out. Let me clear. I'd have to do it all over once more. So I know that 20 multiplied by 1,500 is 30,000 because I know 2 times 1,500 is 3,000. I add another 0, which is 30,000. And 0.25 multiplied by 1,500 is 375. So my answer is 30,375. And is that more than 30,000 but less than 45,000? Yes, I think that's the correct spot it falls in. It is not less than 15,000. 30,000 is not 30,375 is not less than 15,000. It is more than 15,000, but not less than 30,000, and it's not more than 45,000. So the answer is C. So the answer is C. I'm seeing some answers there in the chat. The annotation does not work well. when you're not writing just a sentence, when you're doing the work, it does not work well. I have to master my annotation. So the answer is C, because 30,000 is more than 30,375 is more than 30,000, but less than 45,000. It says, in the diagram below, the diagram below shows a certain number of marbles in a bag. Half of them are red, and the number of blue marbles is the same as the number of green marbles. A similar question to this came on the 2019 paper. Which of the following could not be the number of marbles in the bag? So the number of marbles in the bag is divided by half first, because red there is a half of the entire rectangle, and then the next half is divided into half once more. So we have to look for a number, or look for the numbers that can be divided in half, and then that half is also split into another half, and then there are no decimal remaining. So 92 divided by 2, 48. When we divide 48 by 2, we get 24. So we have 96 off the radar. 78 divided 78 by 2, 39. I think that's the answer. That could not be the number of marbles, because when you divide 39 by 2, you do not get two whole numbers. Let's check 52. 52 divided by 2, 26. 26 divided by 2, 13. 28 divided by 2, 14. 14 divided by 2, 7. So the answer is 78. Let me see the answers in the chat. For 32, the answer is 78. Yes, Zenny, very good. Kayla, Jaden, JT. Yes, a lot of persons are saying B. Very good, everyone. Let's move on to the next question. A bookstore sells pencils for $30 each, notebooks for $80 each, and pens for $50 each. Which combination of items can be purchased with $300? 5 pencils are for 5 times 30, $150. So that's $150 out. 1 notebook for 80, $150 and 80, $230. 2 pens, $230 plus 100, $330. That cannot be purchased with $300. It cannot be purchased with $300. 1 pencil, $30. 2 notebook, 60, 160. 160 plus 30, 190, 190 plus 4 pens, 4 multiplied by 50, 200, 390. That's not correct. So A and B cannot be purchased with the $300. 2 pencils, 60, 2 notebooks, 160, 160 and 60, 220 and 3 pens, 220 and 3 times 50, 150. 150 and 220. That's more than 300. 3 pencils, 90. 1 notebook, 90 plus 80. That's 170. And 2 pens, 50 plus 50. 270. The answer is D. Let's look at 34. So the answer is D. Students were asked to select 1 fruit for breakfast and 1 fruit for lunch. The table below shows the number of students who selected each fruit. Use the information to answer items 34 to 37. Which fruit was selected by most students for lunch? So let's look at the fruit. The fruit with the most there is bananas. Somebody said I missed that one. Missed that. How many students were in the survey? Did anybody check it over? So that's 150 plus 200, 350, 350. Plus another 150, that's 500. If you saw 1,000, it's because you're counting the amount on one side for breakfast and the amount on one side for lunch. But the same amount of students who took the survey for lunch took the survey also for breakfast. So it's only 500 students. So the answer there for 35 is C. Number 36, how many students selected bananas for both breakfast and lunch? Let's look at banana again, and we're looking at the one there that's overlapping. So the fruits for breakfast, they're overlapping with the fruits for lunch, that's 60. So 60 students selected bananas for both breakfast and lunch. Let's look at number 37. How many students who selected plum for breakfast also selected mango for lunch? How many students who selected plum for breakfast also selected mango for lunch? Plum for breakfast, mango for lunch. Let's look at it. So you're looking in the breakfast section for plum, and you're looking for the lunch section for mangoes, and that's 10. Plum intersecting with mango, that's 10 there. Let's look at 10 there is our answer. Yes. So I'm going back over the answers from number 34 to 37, which fruit was selected by most students? Bananas, because we're seeing there clearly that banana has 200 more than the others, which are 150, 60, and 90, sorry. How many students were in the same survey? As I said, I added the number here at the bottom. You can add the number, either the number selected for lunch or the amount selected for breakfast. You'll get the same amount of persons, which is 500. You do not need to add the persons because it's only the same set of persons who took for breakfast also took the survey for lunch. How many students selected banana for both breakfast and lunch? You're looking at the one that's intersecting in banana for both breakfast and lunch. So you're looking for banana in breakfast and banana in lunch, and that stops at 60. For the last question for this table, how many students selected plum for breakfast and how many selected, well, the same persons who selected plum, how many of those same persons selected mango? So you're looking at plum intersecting with mango. You're going across with plum and stopping there at mango, and that's how you get 10. So those are the answers for 34 to 37. Moving on to number 38, it says, what two shapes can be joined without overlap to form a kite, or to form this kite? We're looking at the shapes A, B, C. The closest ones I'm seeing are, well, all of them are close. B would overlap. Also, D would overlap. So we're looking at A and C, and A is half two isosceles triangles, half. However, we're looking for, even though we're seeing C is two isosceles triangles beside each other, which gives us a diamond, not really a kite. The kite now, even though it's upside down for A, is one isosceles triangle and an equilateral triangle. And that's what caused the kite to be formed. So the answer is A for 38. Let me look in the chat. I realized I was probably moving fast. Well, a tad bit fast there for 34 to 37. Pretty straightforward questions though. The only part where they where the tables overlap, but if you look closely, you'll be able to determine what's going on. So I didn't see much there in the chat, but let's look at 438. Some students were still able to give some response in the chat though. All right, for 38, I'm seeing a lot of A's. All right, fair enough. All right, number 39, it says, which two shapes in the rectangle can be combined to form a 5-point star? Let's look at it. A is 1, the rectangle and the triangle. I don't think so. B, the rectangle and the square. Definitely not. C, the triangle and the square. I think that's what we're more leaning towards. We get 5 triangles here, and if you drop a square here in the middle, let me see if I can draw it with my annotation tool. We're almost to the end of our session today. We would have completed the 2020 past paper. We're at number 39, which is almost to the end of the paper itself. All right, let me see if I can drop that square in. Can I rotate? Not really. It's not being dropped in the perfect way. It needs to be rotated. Let's see if I can draw it better. It's only been drawn one way. Using the square tool, let me use the line tool. So that's a square there. Is it a square or a rectangle? What is this? It's not done. Let's see what's going on here. Ah, if I did not draw, I would not see. This is a part of problem solving. You have to be drawing the diagram. So it's not C as I had assumed. It's actually 2 and 4. So we have 5 triangles there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 triangles. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-sided pentagon. So it's actually 2 and 4. So the answer is actually D. Very good. Let me look in the chat for all of the students who gave me the answer to be D. So the mental ability paper has 30 questions. We're to number 39. We're wrapping up on number 39 and moving to number 40. That's the end of the paper. And I'm sure students can say this is something that they're able to manage, combining what we would have done from last week. The only thing is that we're doing it at a slower pace, but nonetheless, I think you should be able to answer these questions in the examination. In our class next week, we won't be looking at any more past papers because we would have completed the 2019 and 2020 past papers. What we're going to be doing next week is looking at some of the questions from my booklet, which are similar to these questions here. I hope you have been going on the study other the study other website and the SAWAL website. Yes, a lot of persons were saying the hexagon and the triangle. So that's number D. Let's move on to number 40 quickly. For item 40, let me remove the annotation. A question is followed by two statements. Determine if the statements provided or if the statements provide enough information to answer the question. Dennis takes the bus to school. About what time will he get there? Statement 1 says the bus travels at 70 kilometers per hour. And statement 2 says the bus left the park at 9 a.m. The answer says statement I alone is, or statement 1 is alone is enough to answer the question. Statement 2 alone is enough to answer the question. Both statements together are enough to answer the question. Both statements together are not enough to answer the question. Let's look at the answer. So statement 1 tells us how far the bus drove or how quickly the bus drove. But statement 2 tells us what time it left. I think we'd need both statements. We'd need to know how fast or how far the bus is traveling and what time the bus left out. So we will need to know both informations to say what time it will get there. Because if it left at 9, we still want to know how fast it drove. Did it drive at 20 kilometers? How fast did it drive to get wherever it needs to get to? So both statements are in fact enough to get the answer. So we're looking at C. I'm seeing a lot of these. Why are the statements not enough? They are enough. Because if you know that you left at 9 and if you traveled at 80 kilometers per hour, so for every hour you'd have finished 80 kilometers, 2 hours, 160 kilometers, 3 hours, 240 kilometers. Yes, I think it's enough. Why are both statements not enough? Can anybody tell me? It doesn't tell you how far you need to travel. Fair enough. What time did it get there? Dennis takes the school bus. About what time will he get there? So we need to know how long he has been traveling. Fair enough. Or how far he's traveling. That's what somebody is saying. The bus traveled 80 kilometers per hour. So we know that after 1 hour, 80 kilometers. So 10 o'clock, he would have gone only 80 kilometers. At 11 o'clock, so it needs to tell you how long the school, how long or how far the person has to travel. Did anybody say that? How far the person has to travel? Oriana says it needs to tell us how far. I think that's the one that we're leaning towards. All right, fair enough. Fair enough. I can be corrected, see. I just wanted to see if everybody was on point instead of giving you all the correct answers. Either ways, the answer is letter D, because we need to know how far the person is actually traveling. So we won't know what time the person gets there. Because if we know that he's traveling 240 kilometers, we can say that he got there 3 hours after, which is 9. Or if we know that he's traveling 160, if we know that he's traveling 200 we'll know that we add the 2 kilometers, the 2 hours to be 160 kilometers, and we add another half hour to be 200 kilometers. So we definitely need to know how far the person is traveling, how much kilometers. All right, very good, Ariana. Very good, everyone. Very good, everyone today for making these assumptions and answers there. Also, for students who are here tuning in all of our sessions, very good also, very good. I promised some booklet giveaway. So I'm still going to be doing the booklet giveaway. Let me run for my booklets. Should have had them here. I was having so much difficulties earlier. It's just not even normal. Oriana says it's her first time. That's very good. And you participated a lot for your first time. Very good. I'm going to, Sherry says it's her first time too. Very good. I'm going to be posting a question though, and I want the answer for these questions. I won't be able to determine simply by just answering the questions here. I'm going to give you some time. I'm going to be posting the questions on my Facebook page. It's going to take a little while for you to figure out the question. So you're going to be going to the Facebook page and responding. All right, let me end the screen share. I'm going to be going to the Facebook page and I'm posting a question under the video. If you're not able to respond via Facebook, you can use mommy's or daddy's account. You're going to be going to the Facebook page. I'm posting the information there in the chat, the question, and I want you to go on to the Facebook page. It's going to take a little time. It's not going to be just looking at the answer. I'm going to make it a little bit more difficult. And the first 5 students who are there responding on the Facebook page will be able to receive a booklet. I hope it's the same students here, or otherwise, it's fair enough. All right. We're to the end of our class today. I hope you register and join for next week's session. As we said, as I said, next week's session, we won't focus on the past paper. We're going to be looking at some other questions, and particularly tearing just the past papers apart, not doing all the questions all over again, but looking at how the questions can come on the examination. We're going to be looking at similar questions to those questions that the ministry would have set on the examination, just so you're familiarized with the format of the examination. And we're opening up questions that we think are going to be coming at on the 2021 paper. So we're going to be pulling apart, looking at the formats of the past papers and seeing the different kind of questions that can come on the 2021 past paper. You don't want to miss that session. As I said, hurry on over to the Facebook page and respond to the question that I'll be posting now. Okay, somebody's asking for the link to the Facebook page. And again, I'm gonna also send my number as usual for other support that are not related to the class or otherwise. I'll send my number and you can add me. I'll send also my email, and you can send an email to me requesting past paper, this paper that we used today, the 2019 past paper, or information about other material. I'm also going to be posting the link to the Facebook page as well. All right. I'll see you guys next week. It was very good today again. Although we had the technical difficulties that caused the lateness, we're still able to push through the 2020 past paper, and we're here to the end. And I hope that you join me next week for our continuing practices for the mental ability test on March the 25th, not February the 23rd again. So we have an additional time, but even on the, so I'll be posting an article in the week that talks about the pushback of the examination. Was that a right move? What are you more grateful that you got the time to prepare for the ability test? What are the performance task preparation like at your school? You can respond and participate in the comment section so I can get feedback from you. I'll see you next week. Until next time, have a good one, and always remember to share the information that you learn to someone nearby. Information is done no justice when it's kept to yourself. All right, then I'll see you next week.